A lot of people get this question wrong because they do not read carefully. So remember, when we do these questions, these main purpose questions, but really any question on the reading section, we can't just go with our instincts and our feelings. We need to try to prove our answer as much as possible because they're using the wording of the choices to kind of trap us. And so what we really want to look for is strong words and phrases. Things that make choices wrong. Your brain is really good at noticing things that make choices right. It feels right. It seems right. It makes your brain happy and releases some endorphins, and it makes you pick an answer before you really think it through. On the SAT, we need to prevent ourselves from falling for those kinds of traps by, instead of looking for right answers, looking for wrong answers, looking at a choice and finding the strong words and phrases that get in the way. So our brain, when it's looking for things that are right, ignores that stuff. We have to retrain how our brain works. And so here's a perfect example of that. So let's look at this. We've hopefully done the no reading strategy, where we've done all the other questions, and that's forced us to read most of the lines in the passage. We have a good sense of what the passage is about. If not, we can always still go to the blurb at the beginning. This passage is adapted from David Rotman, How Technology is Destroying Jobs. Well, that's a pretty clear title, How Technology is Destroying Jobs. Okay, so let's look at these choices. What's the main purpose? Examine the role of technology in workers' lives. 100%, that's true. During the last century. 100% that's not true. So that's the thing, is most people look at that first part and are very excited. Yeah, of course, it's about the role of technology in workers' lives and how technology is causing people to lose jobs, yeah. But not in the last century. They briefly talked about the previous century, but they only did so because they were making a much bigger point about what's happening in this century, what's happening right now. So there's our strong word. This phrase makes the entire thing wrong. The first part is right. That part's wrong. Doesn't matter that the first part is right, because if this part's wrong, the whole thing is wrong. And that's what you're up against. So if you got this wrong because you picked A, it's probably because you didn't pay attention. You got that good, warm, fuzzy feeling about this choice, and you just ignored the bad thing because you were so happy to have found the good thing. You can't do that. That's how you fall for traps on the SAT. Let's look at the other choices. Advocate for better technology to enhance workplace conditions. Well, that does not match with the blurb, right? The blurb is saying technology is destroying jobs. So this is saying advocating for better technology to enhance workplace conditions? Well, no, it seems like technology is bad. So that kind of matches, that's the opposite of what my title says, and honestly, that's the opposite of what the passage is saying. The passage isn't really advocating for anything. It's more just kind of discussing the way that technology and jobs are kind of intertwined. So advocate, also kind of a strong word. But overall, this is just mixing up the connotation of the passage. C. Argue for changes in how technology is deployed in the workplace. So argue, again, kind of a strong word. Is this author arguing for something? Not really. But if you thought so, you should be able to turn this choice into a question and kind of answer that question. So argue for changes in how technology is deployed in the workplace. So what are the changes that he's arguing for? Right? If he's arguing for them, you should be able to tell me very quickly what those changes are. And you can't really, because it's not a main idea. Maybe an occasional recommendation came in here, but main ideas are repeated ideas. So it's something that we should have seen again and again. We shouldn't have to think about it. If it was an important point, we would just kind of know it from having read all these other parts of the passage. Like, it should just jump out. It does not. So what are the changes? I don't know. Not great. And that leaves us with D. Assess the impact of advancements in technology on overall job growth. Now, remember, the title says that it's bad. Technology is destroying jobs. This choice does not say that it's bad. It just has this kind of vague, neutral way of discussing it, right? Assess the impact. The author says the impact is negative, but we don't care because this choice includes that possibility. It doesn't take a side about whether the assessment is positive or negative. It just says that there's an assessment, and there is an assessment. And what is the impact of advancements in technology on overall job growth? Well, he's saying it makes some people lose jobs, and then we had a question near the end there that said that maybe it doesn't, and He doesn't know what the impact is going to be. So the point is, though, that this choice is perfect because it specifically doesn't really take a stand. It kind of talks in the most perfect, vague way about what the author is saying. The impact of advancements in technology on overall job growth. It doesn't actually say what the impact is. That's okay. That's good. We like that. We don't want choices that are strong. We like choices that are weak, vague. That way, there's nothing wrong with them. They fit. And this is why you can't rely on that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when a choice seems to match. Because sometimes it does. But these weak, vague choices are specifically designed not to jump out and seem obviously right. So you're not going to get that warm, fuzzy feeling about a choice like D. It's just an acceptable choice. It's right because everything else is wrong. And so if you are relying too much on that instinctive feeling that a choice is right, you're going to fall for traps. And there will be times where you just don't even notice the right answer because it's so bland and vague. So you don't want to do that. You want to look for things that are wrong, and you'll be able to prove your answers much more often and much more confidently. That's how we use strong words to sort through things. We just want to look at them, test them, and most of the time they're going to be wrong.